from Imam al-Kazim. He says that I would love to strike the heads of my companions with whips until they come and sit and learn and become a faqih in the deen. And there's another version to this hadith mentioned in some of the books, that instead of siyat, which means whips, there is bisayf. Okay. So Imam is saying that I would love to strike the heads of my companions with swords to tell them that, Baba, sit and learn. You have to come. And that was the culture at that time. At the time of Imam Sadiq, people would come, they would sit in his gathering, they would listen to him, pay attention, and many times the Imam would tell them to write down. So this is a hadith from Imam Sadiq. He says, Uktubu, telling his companions who would come to learn from him, that don't just sit and listen, write something down. فَإِنَّكُمْ لَا تَحْفَظُونَ حَتَّى تَكْتُبُوا. That you will not remember, you will not be able to protect and preserve this knowledge if it's not written down. And Mu'mineen, brothers and sisters, this is the culture that we slowly and gradually need to develop in our communities, the culture of seeking knowledge, having discussions. So I'm going to share another hadith from our sixth Imam, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. So he says, Talaqaw wa tahadathul ilm. Okay. So he says, gather together and discuss things related to knowledge. Is commanding all the Shias. Talaqaw wa tahadathul ilm. Fa innal hadith tajallil qulubir raniya. When you have these academic discussions about Islam, about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about deen, then they take away the rust from our hearts. It refreshes our hearts. وَبِالْ حَدِيثِ إِحْيَاءَ أَمْرِنَا. And if you have these discussions, if you have a culture of learning in the community, then our affair is revived. This is one of the ways to please the Ahlul Bayt and revive their affairs. And Imam does dua for those people who do this. فَرَحِمَ اللَّهُ مَنْ أَحْيَا أَمْرَنَا. May Allah have mercy on those people who revive our affairs. And again, the means are out there. It's just about we accessing them. Okay? And there are different ways in which we can get structured learning. You call a teacher, you go to him, you learn from teachers. Teachers have a lot of knowledge, they have a lot of understanding, they have a lot of wisdom. You sit, you ask them your questions, and you learn. And of course, not to forget, one of the very important ways which I have to say that it's probably already lost in many communities around the world, and that is reading. Okay? Reading is one of the ways to gain knowledge. And you see that this culture of reading was already weak in our communities, and with the rise of social media and with the rise of smart screens, it's already gone down. But if you look at our Islamic history, our ulama, our scholars, they used to love reading. I just want to give one example. And that is the example of Allama Amini, who wrote this famous book, Al-Ghadir. So Allama Amini is a very well-known scholar who embarked on this mission to write a book that would defend the right of Amirul Mu'mineen from the books of Ahlus Sunnah. Okay. And he traveled 5 different countries looking for resources to write this book. He went to India, and again, he passed away in 1960s. Okay. There's a contemporary, you have photos of him. There's a photo of him sitting in a library in Lucknow, going through all these books in order to make notes to write these books. So his entire journey of writing this book spanned more than 20 years. And it's reported that in this attempt to write this book, and this is something really unbelievable, he read 10,000 books cover to cover. In a period of 20 years, he read 10,000 books. That's like 500 a year, okay? Which is more than a book on a single day. He read 10,000 books, cover to cover, and he referred to close to 100,000 books. He referred, he would find snippets that would be useful for writing this book. Okay? So this is how, if we see historically, this was culture amongst Muslims to pay attention to knowledge, to reading, to have that culture in the community. And the last one, of course, is going to the right source. Okay? And as I mentioned last time, that our sources of information have drastically changed. A lot of people today seek information about Islam, about religion, from internet, from social media, from AI, for example. So people, we face this like sometimes in madrasa, we have kids giving answers to their questions, and immediately when you see the answer, you pick it up. This is a ChatGPT answer. So basically, this person has not understood. He was not paying attention in class. Again, attention deficit. He did not write down any notes. The exam is coming. This person is worried. What does he do? There is a question bank. They go, they put it on ChatGPT, and ChatGPT gives some answer, and they just memorize that answer and they write it. And as we are reading, we are like, MashaAllah, this is a ChatGPT answer. No. We are told that seek knowledge from those who are experts in that field. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ in kuntum la ta'lamun. That, O people, go to people who are experts and seek knowledge from them. And in our times, we have the ulama, the scholars who work in the hawza, they study, they spend a lot of time making sure that the most precise understanding of Islam, of deen, of ahkam is given to you. We should make it a point that we are accessing our knowledge, insha'Allah, from the right sources. And mu'mineen, this can turn into a calamity when sources of information are displaced. A lot of things change. And if you see historically, this is what happened. One of the calamities that befell Muslim Ummah was the same thing. That as long as the Holy Prophet was alive, he was the source of information and knowledge and ilm. People would go to him, ask them their questions, find out about their deen. But unfortunately, as soon as he passed away and he left this world, this source of information and knowledge and ilm and wahy and revelation and getting access to that accurate knowledge was displaced. It was Amirul Mu'mineen and the Ahlul Bayt who were supposed to be the sources of knowledge. So if you look at the tafsir of this verse, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ. If you look at the tafsir, who are the Ahlul Dhikr? The top amongst these Ahlul Dhikr are the Ahlul Bayt. But you see that after the demise of the Holy Prophet, this authority has shifted. Okay. Now you see that companions become the source of knowledge and authority. Okay. Their opinions become the standard legal opinions. Okay. And therefore you see that what happened during those 75 or 95 days, and for which we have gathered here to commemorate and remember, this was one of the things that was going on. That the authority and knowledge, the source of knowledge, was being displaced. And this was so dangerous, and this would be so detrimental for the Muslim Ummah going down, that Bibi Fatima Salamullah alayha, she decided that I have to stand up. I have to come and defend the right of Amirul Mu'mineen. And again, these 3 months of duration that passed between the wafat of the Holy Prophet and her martyrdom, these were very difficult days for her. The first and the most difficult calamity for Bibi Fatima was that the Holy Prophet was no more. Because she shared a very special connection with the Holy Prophet. And now when the Holy Prophet passed away, it was already something very heavy for her, very difficult for her. But in addition to that, she saw the betrayal of the Ummah. She saw a time where Amirul Mu'mineen was left alone. Okay. And in some of the ahadith and some of the historical accounts, we also see that a time came that Amirul Mu'mineen was so lonely in the streets of Medina that people would not even do salam to him. Like, people would avoid him. And situation became such that when Amirul Mu'mineen would do salams to them, they wouldn't even respond. So inshallah, we want to take this opportunity, these are a few nights, inshallah, and we remember the musibah of Bibi Fatima. But before we do that, let's take our hearts to Medina and let's send our salams to Bibi Fatima. So I'm just going to recite a few lines from her ziyarah, and inshallah we all can benefit. So in one of the ziyarats we have been told to remember her in this manner. Allahumma salli ala al-batul al-tahira. We remember her with her names, with her alqab that were given to her. As-siddiqatil ma'asuma. She is a siddiqa, she is the truthful one. At-taqiyatin nakiyah, ar-radiyatil mardiyah, az-zakiyatir rashidah. And then from here, the ziyarah starts mentioning her musibah. Al-madhlumatil makhura. She was the one who was oppressed, who was subdued. Al-maghsubati haqquha. Her right was seized, was taken away. Al-mamnu'ati irthuha. She was denied her inheritance. Al-maksurati dhil'uha. Her ribs were broken. Al-madhlume ba'luha. Her husband was oppressed. Al-maktuli waladuha. She miscarried her child. And these were very difficult days and nights for Bibi Fatima. At nights, Amirul Mu'mineen and Bibi Fatima would go and knock on the doors of Muhajirin and Ansar and ask them that, were you not present in Ghadir? What happened? Why don't you come out and give testimony to the wilayah of Amirul Mu'mineen? But everyone would make a different excuse. Someone would come and say that I have grown too old, I don't remember. Someone else said that I have already given my allegiance, how can I turn back on that allegiance? And the support for the Ahlul Bayt started dwindling and becoming less and less in Medina. And a time came when these people who were trying to seek allegiance from Amirul Mu'mineen, they came twice to the door. The first time these people, they came to the door, they came and they threatened to burn it down. And these people, they gathered at the door of Bibi Fatima. Remember, this is that same door where the Holy Prophet used to come and give his salams. These people gather and call out that if people in the house do not come out and pay allegiance, we are going to burn down this house. Someone from amongst the companions, those people who had gathered, says, وَإِنَّ فِي الْبَيْتِ Fatima. Fatima is inside the house. This oppressor replies and says, وَإِنْ كَانَتْ. Even if she is inside the house, I'm going to burn it down. Bibi Fatima tried hard to convince people to bring them back to Amirul Mu'mineen. But her difficulties started increasing. The narrations write, a time came when she recited this musibah, this marthia. She said, Subbat alayyal masaibu ka'annaha. So many difficulties have befallen on me. Subbat alal ayyami sirna layaliya. If these difficulties would befall a day, it would turn into a night. The narrations write that a time came. Now Bibi has fallen ill. Nahila jismuha. She's become very weak. Dhaba lahmuha. The flesh in her body has melted. Hatta sarat kal khiyal. She's in her last days, and that time comes when these oppressors, they gather at her door. They have come ready with firewood to set fire to the door of Bibi Fatima. And that zulm happens. These people, they gather. They set the door on fire. And Bibi Fatima comes behind the door. She tries to stop them, admonish them, but there's no avail. And a time comes that one of these oppressors, he kicks the door, the burning door. And we know that Bibi Fatima is crushed between the door and the wall. She calls out, Ya Fiddatu Khudini. Fizza rushes to help Bibi Fatima. The oppressors enter the house. Muhsin becomes shaheed. Saya'lamul ladina dhalamu ayyamun kalabin yankalibun. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Matami Hussein.
توجه زيارات السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين وسيد الوصيين. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء سلطان أبا الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا، كن شفيعنا وشفيع والدينا في يوم الجزاء ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن شريك القرآن كعبة الإيمان إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهور الأمر. السلام عليك يا أهل بيت النبوة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته.